Welcome to the darkest day of the year, which is a good excuse to listen to a song about dark days here on the Charismatic Voice. You all have been requesting Soundgarden a ton, and I just need to know more about where Chris Cornell comes from, not to mention listen to Soundgarden for the first time ever. So let's get to it. A few initial impressions here. One, I think it's really interesting how they structured some of the sound design in the intro. Even the moment before they start playing, there's a white noise that is in the background and that shuts off then right when you hear the cymbal tap, essentially. So that was really curious to me, grabbed my attention. Also interesting to hear the mix is very right balanced. So you hear a lot more sound in the right, and then there's essentially, I think the drums are probably centered, and then when the whole band starts playing more, then you get the full sound across both speakers, or well, both headphones. And then when we get to Chris's voice, uh, his voice never ceases to amaze me with the amount of pain you hear in it. Even just from the beginning, you hear that there's brewing underneath. And I think it's so interesting to hear how there was like a breakout moment in the middle of that where it sounded like a little more rage or anger that was essentially expressed through vocal distortion. It creeped out and then it kind of came back down to this more subdued, more closed mouth kind of singing. So anyhow, I'm going to go back to the beginning. Listen to that, the use of stereo sound there and how they've adjusted the imaging of it. There's the white sound, right? The white noise. And then it cuts. Huh. Yeah, the guitar is really right. I think the drum is center. And I should have mentioned that that sound with the slide in it. Oh man, it's creepy. The slides like that, they always get me. I think this is fascinating that he chose the word that went up. I was curious about how it related to the lyrics. Glad I followed that curiosity because it's smile. That's the word that gets distortion. And reading through the lyrics ahead of time, you get the sense like this is a fairly down in the dumps kind of song, right? It fell on black days. It's pretty depressed. And we know that Chris Cornell struggled with depression most of his life. So I think it's so fascinating. The thing that gets the most emphasis is the word smile. just when every day seemed to greet me with a smile. Like that's the thing that actually creates the most disturbance in the sort of neutral state that we've established at the beginning of the song. I'm gonna go back just a little bit. That was really unexpected to me. Somehow I feel like the song mirrors depression really well in the vocal line. I would have thought I don't know if that was the chorus. I'm guessing it was the chorus. We'll see as the song progresses. Definitely felt like the catchiest part so far with this extension of Fell on Black Days. And I would have expected that to somehow lift in the energy level. Choruses often need to have a certain lift. Usually that's going to be higher pitches. But what's happened is he extended it out. He's varying the pitch very, very little here. You've got a little more reverb that went on his voice as well. And I feel like it mirrors depression in the way that it can almost seem monotonous at times. Totally surprising yet brilliant compositional elements there. Also very interesting how they filmed this in black and white and lots of shadows on the faces. Wow. I'm really touched by the lyrics of this and how he set them to music. I think just reading through them, I felt that they were moving and good lyrics, but how he set them and the way that he's captured, I think he's really captured depression extremely well within a song that is at the same time fairly upbeat. It's shocking, like that sort of being held down while maybe other things are moving around. It's I'm really surprised by this right now. I think it was so interesting. Again, looking at where he's putting the emphasis on with the vocal distortion when he goes higher. That time, I think it was See It in the Night, but I can't see it in the night. It sounds like that's like that there's a struggle, like a longing for more, particularly when he's adding that distortion in. And then there's a certain resignation that's happening in a lot of the other phrases. I'm going to go back to that again. I want to talk a little bit about vocally what he's doing and not doing. But whoa, the impact of this is huge.
Searchlight, so they say, but I can't see it
few things in here that are really interesting. One, to me, is the phrasing, the way he's shaping these phrases and where he's choosing to breathe. He's essentially bridging a lot of phrases where he'll continue to go to the next line in the music without taking a breath. It ties things together. It makes them all feel kind of sunk together. So even in the moment when he goes high, he doesn't take a breath soon after that. He just keeps sort of rolling down into the lower pitches afterwards. Another thing that is really, I feel, indicative of grunge technique, which is hilarious. I know a lot of people say, okay, grunge singing was almost an anti-movement. It didn't want to be super technical. But what's happened is all of these guys essentially have a technique that they're following, which is keeping their mouth a lot more closed. Works for grunge, doesn't work for most other styles. So really keeping it closed and leaning into closed consonants. There's still a lot of shaping of the vowels. It's back here in the mouth, but the front of the mouth is more closed on it. When they go higher or up for bigger notes, like the high note with distortion probably is a time when he would open up a little bit more. But you hear him also lean into closed consonants like a or an in, like a nasal consonants like that. And there's also more nasality in the sound overall. You can do this on a microphone really well. And you see he's pretty close to the microphone here. If you have a singer that's got much more projection, they might be opening their mouth more and they'll be backed further away. I think that the grunge style of singing coincides with that often depressive element, partly because it is so close to the mouth and more inner feeling as a result, rather than being backed away and really expressive projecting outwards. It feels like it's a lot more inside the pain that a person might be experiencing. I have a lot more thoughts on that, but I'll keep going for now. Okay, let's just talk about those sets of vowels and consonants there and talk about the closure in the mouth, because that is perfectly demonstrating what I was just talking about, having a more closed mouth. Fel, if you go to an L, it's a consonant that you can sing through and has a fairly closed mouth. So he goes to the L sound fairly quickly, felon. And instead of having on, which has a really nice ah vowel ahead of time, he goes to the N fairly quickly and sings through that, again, a consonant, N, where the mouth is closed, right? And so, and then even Black Days, he's going to the diphthong of days. A's would be the two vowels that are scrunched together to make one sound, which is the diphthong, right? So if you go to days, the more closed vowel, meaning the mouth is more closed in the front to produce that vowel, is the E vowel of the two days. You can try that out in your mouth and see what it feels like. You'll notice that your mouth closes more for the E vowel than for an E vowel. So really good example of him leaning into sounds that are in general more closed. Let's go back and listen to that one more time. Whoa, that was a cool section. That definitely had more of that longing that I was talking about, that it seems to associate when he's going higher with more distortion.
Black days. How would I know that this could be my fate? How would I know that this could be my fate?
Wow.
What you wanted.
Ah, there's a lot to digest in there. The pain in this "how would I know" part is, it's so palpable, right? And that's when you think about depression and maybe rules of the emotion that goes through. It can be totally monotonous, and then all of a sudden just have tons of pain that come back, and then it goes back to monotonous. Um, I think I just love the way that this song is expressing that. I think it's extraordinary. And then this gorgeous falsetto moment where he's singing high, really pure sound. Uh, I don't know, it sounded to me a little bit like a cry. I thought it was really beautiful. And then I loved the interlude there with the instrumental interlude that came back to the verse. It added something new. It's always nice when instrumental interludes aren't there just to, put some time between verses or something, but they add an additional element. I couldn't figure out what the new was that they were adding. I feel like that's very open to interpretation. Of course, the whole song is very open to interpretation, but I don't know, it took me somewhere else. I'm really curious if you guys are in live chat with us right now. Let me know what you feel like was added new by that section. It was cool. Okay, I want to go back and listen to that whole thing one more time.
That this could be my fate. How would I know
Pain in the
that
face
this
too.
could be my fate?
Right there on Fate, on the last one, it almost sounds like he's actually compressing things, probably not in the healthiest of ways. If you do it for a moment, it's usually not going to kill you, but don't go practice doing that a lot, please. But he compresses it because it sounds like the emotion is causing closure essentially in the throat, which happens. It's very interesting.
That this could be my What you wanted to see, girl, is made you blind. And what you wanted to be yours is made in mine. So don't you lock up something that you wanted to see fly. Hands up and shaking, long time.
Okay, so listen to the way he bridges this phrase. Again, by the way, fly was the word that he went up on with that distortion. I think it's just fascinating, the words that he's picking to go up with that distortion. But he does an amazing, amazing thing with his breath. It's super subtle, and we need to take a moment to appreciate it.
What you wanted to see, girl, is made you blind. And what you wanted to be yours is made in
Listen to this
mine. So don't you
bridging.
lock up something that you want.
It's really, really cool. If you look at the lyrics as they're just printed out, you see a break in the line here. And it also is shifting melodically too. And he's bridging that by saying, no, 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 I'm going to take my breath a little bit earlier. And then I'm going to continue all the way through this phrase into the next one to tie them together, to bring some sort of image together here. I think wow, it's cool. It's like, it's kind of how you can choose to read poetry in different ways. It's how an expressive orator might choose to emphasize different things in a sentence. This is very, very detailed and very, very purposeful. One more time.
Yours, you've made it mine. So don't you lock up something that you wanted to see fly. Hands up and shaking.
Wow.
Long time. Sit around and change. Sit around and change.
Whoa.
Sit around and change.
That's so intense. It's surprising how much distortion he's getting in there. It feels like it's gutting me. Ugh. Um, oh goodness. Yeah, the emotional impact it's harsh. Because it's a harsh vocal. But whoa. It's so angry there. And even his face, it seems like it's going wild at times. Oh.
Sit around and change. Sit around and change. Sit around and
Oh.
change.
Oh my goodness. That even caused a neck pop in me. That was the way that he went from more distortion to really clean, and the twang that he has in his voice too. And the way he like even like lilted on some of the notes as he went down.
Sit around and change.
He even leans into his break. It's fascinating. There's so many technical things that are happening in that moment that are amazing, but ultimately what pulls it all together is the emotion that he goes through in that one line, right? The feeling of, it sounds like it's got anger, frustration, and then kind of coming back down to maybe that resignation. Oops, let's go back.
Sit around and change. 'Cause I fell black days, black days.
Wait, I think the harmony and the instruments are different this time. Sounds like they go to major. Right there.
Black days. How would I know that this could be my fate? How would I know that this could be my fate? How would I know that this could be my fate? How would I know that this could be my fate?
Wow. There's just so much emotion in his voice, especially that top yell in there. It's just I'm amazed by how well he can communicate emotion in his voice. There are a lot of people that I've worked with that say, Elizabeth, how do I bring more message to my song? How do I have more emotion in my song, more expressivity? And I think you really have to be in tune with yourself and how you feel, and um, be willing to put that out there for everybody to see. Both of those things are very hard on their own. You combine them, and I think it requires so much self-searching to really get into this level of emotion. It's just shocking. It's really good.
Be my fate. I wanna know that this could be my fate.
Whoa.
Should I mind the change?
Whoa. That was a cool ending.
Should I mind the change?
Whoa. Overall, I am shocked by how well this encapsulated the feeling of depression. Chris even said in an interview at one point that this song is about waking up and realizing you're in a dark period of life. And together with the band, they found that sound. It's amazing. I don't know that that could have been done more perfectly. The way that he set the lyrics and the way that they were not just a band that was accompanying, they were adding new moments to it along the way, as if each person in the band also had their own story to tell. It was just brilliant. If you want some more grunge analysis like this, you can check out this playlist over here. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for guiding me with your recommendations throughout this grunge journey. It is truly extraordinary. I hope to see you in another video soon.